Today I'll be going through this game called ER7 Game of Truth. So what is this game all about? So basically it's a pay-to-earn trading card strategy game that is developed on Binance Smart Chain with like PvP aspects as well as like player versus environment gaming styles. So it's primarily like a trading card game because users have to use like different trading card NFTs in order to battle it out with like other users or the environment. And at the same time, there's a strategy aspect as well because it's 9x9 size map where users will be able to so-called position their creatures in like strategic positions and gain certain advantages by placing their creatures in specific areas of the map. So the battles will be in like 3-minute intervals, and basically there will be two types of NFTs, the master card as well as like battle card NFTs. So users will actually have to like monitor the movements and position their creatures, as well as the objective of the game is to actually reduce the health of the opponent such that defeat the opponent or their health reaches 0 in order for a winner to emerge in the battle. And there's also like liquidity farming options for staking their ERA token in the ERA7 farm for the liquidity pool tokens that is supplied. For LP tokens, for users who supply liquidity on PancakeSwap's ERA to BNB liquidity pool. And lastly, there's also like a reward sharing mechanism in order to incentivize user growth. So existing users can actually gain more rewards if they were to successfully refer their friends or other users onto the game. So this is like the overview. So this is for token summary. So for the game, there's like two types of tokens. The first one is the ERA token, and the second one is the God token. So for ERA, it's mostly for gamers as well as like liquidity providers because of the liquidity mining incentive. Both can be used in game. ERA has a max cap of about 1 billion tokens. For God token, I can't really find any information as to whether it has a hard cap, but I think it's unlimited. The main users of ERA will primarily be for staking, purchase of the NFTs, the wagering in terms of like the battle, as well as the future governance, which will be introduced in the future when it transitions over to like a more decentralized governance. For God tokens, primarily is being used for summoning of Mastercard NFTs, as well as like combining battle card NFTs, which I will explain on later. So yeah, how it's being derived or how it's being obtained, it's similar to the ERA token. Just that there will be lesser ways which can be obtained, such as like there's no airdrops and it is not PvP. God token will be rewarded based on users who play versus the environment, whereas ERA will be used for users who play versus other players. Okay, so in terms of player types, so primarily there's like killers. So actually every user who plays the game, the objective is to defeat other users. So these are like the killer player types. In terms of achievers, there's like different types, or rather there's like daily alliances, there's rank competitions. I think it's monthly rank competitions, and there's also World Cups, which will be set based on like the events by the game. And there's also many different levels of PvE challenges for this achiever player type. In terms of socializers, there's not much, or rather there's no direct social community, so-called interaction, but there is custom matchmaking where users will be able to invite their friends and play together as well. And the last player type will probably be investors because these tokens can be swapped on exchanges, and the NFTs will also accrue in value over time from gameplay. So for gameplay overview, in order for users to actually battle other users, they require like 30 card decks in order to fight other users. And this 30 card decks is primarily formed from battle card NFTs. And they basically fight until one user's HP falls to 0. And basically the winner will take all, where in a sense where they'll basically gain ERA or God tokens as a reward. So for synthesizing, battle card NFTs will actually be used for trading with other users, mining where they can stake their tokens based on the hash rates, and also be used for battles. And they can also be combined together to form like higher level battle card NFTs. So these high-level battle card NFTs, they have to be combined using the same type of cards, and you require ERA and God tokens in order to combine them together. So you get like higher attack defense, gain increased mining power, which will yield the user higher rewards, as well as like have greater market value for that particular NFT. And so users will be incentivized to so-called synthesize their cards in order to gain higher value for the higher mining rewards, as well as the higher value of the NFTs. So this is also unsealing and summoning. So this is more for the Mastercard NFTs, but Mastercard NFTs will be more for unsealing and summoning. Mastercard NFTs are the main cards where you can draw out battle card NFTs. So in a sense, they have to be unsealed first. So after they are unsealed, they can be summoned, or rather summoning equates to like drawing battle cards from these Mastercards. And the battle cards will then be used in battle, where it forms the 30 cards of their slide of their card decks to battle it out with other users. So every single MasterCard can only be summoned for a certain number of times in this graph over here, depending on the different MasterCard type. So the more rare the MasterCard type is, the higher the total amount of times it can be summoned for battle cards, and also have a lower time gap in between each summoning. And then once this MasterCard actually reaches the maximum amount of times where it can be summoned, subsequently additional tokens of Era and God will have to be required for fuel in order for extra summoning of this existing MasterCard. Okay, this is for Brawl Treven. This is just the equivalent for the custom matchmaking. So for this custom matchmaking, actually users will have to bet a certain amount, where a user will be able to take both their bet amount as well as the bet amount from the other user. And combat power can be set at a minimum as well in order for users to actually match fair so-called combat power fights. And this aspect of like lucky bonuses and jackpots to actually compound the winner's rewards as well. So this is aspect of the game where you only be whereby users will only know if their game has lucky bonuses or jackpots only after they start the game. So this is to disincentivize users from actually betting more when they already know that their rewards will be compounded. And for every single battle, there will be a battle tax of 5%, and it will be broken down in this percentage where 1% will be used to burn the existing Era tokens, 1% will be used for the reserved in treasury, and the last one will be added into the lucky bonus pool, which is this one over here. Right, so in terms of tokenomics, this is like basically how the two token works. So as you can see here, God token actually will be used for battle card combining, and then you can also consumption of God tokens to summon the battle cards for this MasterCard as well. And then for Era token, basically it will be primarily be used for like the purchasing of your MasterCard and battle card NFTs. And you will also be able to so-called stake and mine for additional rewards. Yeah, that's the main utility for this two token. And then subsequently is also for token vesting. So this is like the token vesting for the entire game. One thing to take note here is I think for the private sale as well as like the seed sale, ecosystem partnerships, development, operations, PR. One of the things here that I realized is that there's a percentage that is actually initially unlocked, but when you compare it to like the users who actually, or rather the users that form the community of the game and the users who actually will play the game, be in terms of like the play to earn aspect or the game network incentives or liquidity portion, 0% will actually be unlocked at TGE, whereas for the early users, they actually have a certain amount that will be unlocked at the start. So I think this is like one of the risks of the game, where for some reason the early investors or the community or the development team will have their tokens unlocked at TGE, whereas for the actual users or the gamers of this particular game, 0% that will be unlocked at TGE. And subsequently, their vesting will be over a longer time period compared to the early investors and the main development team. So yeah, that is like the main risk that I see in this. And yeah, overall, I think it is quite an interesting game, whereby it combines like NFTs together with like strategy aspects. But one of the things is that they didn't really explain how the strategy aspect will come into play, where they didn't really explain how, you know, certain positioning of features will actually be advantageous to users or disadvantageous to them. So there's an aspect where I think there's not much information yet. But yeah, overall, I think this is a game that is quite interesting.